So right now, if you're in algebra, you're factoring quadratic equations, okay? Now the general format of a quadratic equation is y equals ax squared plus bx plus c, where x and y are your two variables that are moving at the same time, and a, b, and c are the values that you're going to use to factor. So the most simple factoring is when a, the first term, doesn't have a value, so that means a is 1, and you're factoring something like this: x squared minus 7x plus 10. And then we track our ABCs: ax squared plus bx plus c. So in this case, a equals 1, b equals negative 7, and c equals positive 10. And what you were taught was, okay, our two factors are going to look like two binomials. They're going to have two pieces in each one. And we are going to look at what multiplies to a times c. In this case, a is 1 and c is 10. So a times c is positive 10. And what adds up to b? And what's our b term? That's right, negative 7, okay? Now, if you remember, again, just basic factoring, this is comprised of the first terms of our binomial. So what multiplies up to x squared? We have no choice. X times x. Now, here's where the fun starts and the number play begins, and you guys have gotten really good at it. What multiplies to plus 10 and adds to negative 7? And if you look, well, wait a second. How can it multiply to a positive but add to a negative? Oh, our signs must be negative because a negative number times another negative number results in a positive number. And if you may have figured out already, what multiplies to plus 10 and adds to negative 7 is minus 5 and minus 2. And you've just factored this into that. Getting back to our standard form. Now we're doing much more complex factoring where the a term is greater than 1. And what happens is that there are many different machinations, there are many different possibilities because this isn't just 1 anymore. So for example, a lot of my students are having trouble with something like the following. A is no longer 1, is it? A is now 15. So it could be 1 and 15, it could be 5 and 3, we don't know the positions, right? Well, let's see. Let's just go through our ABCs. If A is 15, B is negative 16, and C is plus 4. Now here's the thing. We've gotten comfortable doing this. Figuring out our A times C and adds to B. Okay? But the only way you can do that is if the first terms of our factors are the same. Now, I'm going to tell you a little trick that'll make life a little easier for you. Okay? And what I'm about to say is a little incorrect, but follow me. Okay? In the first position, in both places, I would like you to write 15x. And you're like, wait a minute, you're out of your mind? The first two have to multiply to this. That's like 225x squared. What are you doing? Trust me. Here's the process. You fill in the first as the same. Since they are the same, you are allowed to do this. Let's take a look. A times C. That's plus 15 times plus 4 is plus 60 and adds to B. Well, B is negative 16. Okay? Now, that's pretty doable, isn't it? Remember, a little bit of another little cheat. So if a number ends in 0, one of your factors has to be a multiple of 5. So it has to end in 5 or 0. So take a brief moment. Multiplies to 60 and adds to negative 16. And also multiplies to a positive and adds to a negative. So both numbers need to be negative. Well, if you've given it a little bit of thought, 10 times 6 multiplies to 60, and minus 10 and minus 6 add to minus 16. If you're okay doing the A times C and equals B process, this is completely okay. But now, here's the additional step. Because we made these the same, you're allowed to do this. But now look at my factors. You can factor the factors to get to the correct answer. What do I mean? Look at the first factor, 15x minus 10. What number goes into both 15 and 10? That's right, 5. If you divide the first factor by 5, you're going to get 3x minus 2. Now look at the second factor. What goes into 15x and 6? That's right, 3. And if you divide this by 3, you're going to get 5x minus 2. Ladies and gentlemen, that is your winning answer. 3x times 5x is 15x squared. Minus 2 times minus 2 is plus 4. And if you do outer and inner, you get your minus 16. So if you like using this method, you can still use this method by doing the little cheat at the beginning, right here. For this and other little tips and tricks, check me out on www.creativetutoringllc.com. Give us a call. Thank you.